what sorts of things help other people that we know that are addicted? What really helps? Right? Not what could help, but what really helps. And are there certain people for whom it's hopeless? I mean, I don't like to hold the conversation that way, but I wouldn't be close to the real life data if I didn't ask, is it hopeless? Are there people who just will not be able to quit their substance use or their addictive behavior, despite, I have to assume, really wanting to? Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Okay, look, here's the meat and potatoes. Okay, Andrew Huberman set it up. What actually fucking works? Borderline basic fucking question. Not exercise helps reduce your risk of addiction. What actually solves the fucking problem? Let's see what Dr. Anna has to say. And I've seen this, and that's why I started recording, because I was absolutely dumbfounded with the absolute ignorance that's come out of this woman's mouth. And you'll see, she's been working on this shit for 25 years. She said so in the podcast. I haven't been alive for 25 years, and I know way more than this dumb, old... I'm going to refrain from using bad profanity, but let's just use the word woman.
So there are people who will die of their disease of addiction, and I think conceptualizing it as a
disease of addiction. I've already seen this and it's fucking hilarious. It would be even funnier if people weren't seriously dying of this shit all the time.
disease is a helpful form.
Listen to this. All right, I'm rewinding. Listen to this.
Their disease of addiction, and I think conceptualizing it as a disease is a helpful frame. There are other frames that we could use, but I do think, given the brain physiologic changes that occur with sustained heavy drug use and what we know happens to the brain, it is really reasonable to think of it as a brain disease. And for me,
Bravo, fucking hell. Oh, if only you guys were in my head and you could fucking see what's going on in here. When you think of it as a disease, right? The belief of it being a disease gives you good fucking reason to use, right? If you believe you are compelled to use porn, if you believe that you're going to have urges, you now have good reason to use porn. That reason, the good reason to use porn, i.e. I'm going to get urges if I don't, is why you use fucking porn. It's part of the picture. Now, there are many reasons why we use porn, in the same way that there are many reasons why I read. This is my Kindle, okay? I read a lot. There are many reasons why I read. I might read at night time because I think it helps me get to sleep. I might read to pass the time before I drift off. I might read to educate myself. I might read for pleasure. I might read because I just like the reading vibes. I have the Kindle here. I'll have my hot drink and I'll be in bed. The lamp will be on. I'm all cozy and I just love it. Right? There are many reasons why I read. There are many reasons why I eat nuts. They taste good. These are almonds. They taste good. They're high in protein. They're high in fat. It's going to get me better results in the gym. They're a nice snack. They fill me up. Right? There are many reasons why we do anything. The reason, right, the logic of I have a brain disease, I'm addicted to porn, I have urges, that belief is one extremely powerful reason to use porn. This woman, the reason why I don't like her, or rather, maybe she's a good person, okay, but the idea, I'm going to calm down. The reason why I don't like what she's talking about is because she is purporting a myth that you are addicted, that you have a brain disease, and she is making you, like, if you believe this woman and you take on that belief, by God, are you going to be motivated towards porn? If I believe that I have a brain disease, like hard changes in my brain to use porn, I now have an extremely powerful reason to use porn. And it's not the actual brain disease, the brain changes that's making me use porn. It's that reason. It's the reason that motivates us. The reason. That's what motivates us. And such a belief, if you take it on, by God, are you going to be motivated? If I suddenly realise that these almonds were actually really bad for my health, they didn't give me results in the gym, and they've actually got horrible fats in them that aren't good for me at all, I have less reason to use them, and I'm probably not going to fucking eat them anymore. Similarly, if you consider like, I'm just not addicted at all, there is no addiction, and you convince yourself of that by going through arguments that I explain about on my channel all the time, and you no longer see all the other value in porn, and at the end of this debunking process, you're just left with, oh, porn is just a mild amusement, it doesn't really do a whole lot, which is the position that I'm in. You no longer desire it. You no longer have. How can you? Okay, you can do this in a short amount of time, and you'll still have the hard brain changes. Yeah. So it's not the brain changes that fucking compel you at all. It's the reasons. And if you read the book, it's called The Biology of Desire by Mark Lewis. He talks, and also there's Addiction, A Disorder of Choice by Gene Heyman. I'm very well read on this shit, right? So I'm not pulling all this shit out of my ass. These two books both talk about how brain changes that happen with addiction are actually the same types of brain changes that are in any other type of learning. So if you learn to juggle, or if you learn to read, if you learn to drive a London taxi round, and if you learn how to do football juggling, if you learn how to do boxing, learning of any skill results in brain changes. When you get good at watching porn, right, when you watch a lot of it, you learn about porn, and these are the brain changes. It's not unusual to have brain changes. In fact, it's natural to have brain changes with doing any repeated activity. The thing is, neuroscientists look at these brain changes and they make the incorrect jump that because there are brain changes, there is compulsion beyond your will. This is not a substantiated claim, and this lady is talking about it like it is. It's completely unfactual, and I'm not just saying that from a neuroscientist perspective. I'm not educated on neuroscience. I'm saying it from a first-hand point of view. I've experienced this shit for myself, which is why it's so frustrating to see idiots like this. I'm not going to call it idiot. Take it back. People like this spreading misinformation. If I had a brain disease, why was I able to quit PMO so easily by changing my fucking mind? Why? What? How? That goes against everything. And it's not like, ooh, some people were just not real addicts. I was heavily addicted to hardcore PMO for 6 years. I was watching fetish material and I was edging for hours at a time. And I really felt like I couldn't stop. I looked in the mirror and I thought, fuck man, I want to end this all. When I was 20 years old, it was fucking horrendous. Had an awful time. But then I quit because I changed how I thought about it. I stopped viewing myself as addicted. I started questioning the effects of PMO, and I realised I could be happy without it. And now I'm just finished. It's done. I don't even want to do it anymore. That's my fucking rant. Let's continue. I can't even watch this shit. I fucking don't like it at all, but I'm going to persevere.
For me, the real window of, let's say, being able to access my compassion around people who are repeat relapsers, even when their life is so much...
Relapses. What are you relapsing from? A disease? You're not relapsing from anything. You're just choosing to do what you want to do for the various reasons why you see value in it. This is my disease of tea drinking. Watch. Ready? It's going to happen. Oh no, I just relapsed. No, I wanted to do it. Just because people regret doing it afterwards, and just because people feel as though they're out of control, doesn't mean they are. They're not out of control. You've never been out of control. You're doing what you want to do. And just as you can debunk the reasons for doing anything, you can do it with porn too. Trust me. Trust me. Trust me.
Better when they're in recovery. Yeah, it's like a no-brainer.
These are two old-ass scientists talking about this shit in this like these guys have the authority bias, meaning that this Andrew Huberman and this Dr. Anna, they have all these fancy credentials, and they really talk in these like fancy scientific terms. They're very eloquent. They're very wordy-dirty. They use a lot of jargon, and this makes them seem as though they're very well qualified. You look at me, I'm a young guy. What qualification do I have? I have the number one qualification of first-hand fucking experience.
Right, is to conceptualize this balance and the dopamine deficit state and a balance tilted to the side of pain, and to imagine that for some people, after a month or 6 months or maybe even 6 years, their balance is still tipped to the side of pain.
Did you just hear that? Did you just hear that? She is saying that after 6 years, your balance in your brain can still be tipped towards pain. What she's basically, earlier in the podcast, she explained it. Basically, she's saying that after 6 years, the brain changes can still be there, and that can still cause relapse. I have no words. It isn't the brain changes, it's belief. You can hold a belief after 6 years. There are guys who are abstinent for years and they still have the belief that they have massive value in it. A time of stress hits and boom, they decide to use again. They don't relapse. It's just that their like perception of it, the beliefs that they have about porn, remain unchanged. If you change these beliefs, there's no longer any fear of relapse. I could PMO tomorrow and it would do fuck all. In the same way that I could have a beer at the pub and I wouldn't get addicted to it. Because I don't see the value in it. I'm not in complete control. I'm not using discipline to not PMO. I could PMO tomorrow 8 times and I wouldn't get fucking addicted. I can promise you that.
That on some level,
because my beliefs have changed. I'm not being cocky here. You can do this too. What I'm saying here is you can do this too. You, behind the cat, I'm pointing at you here. Trust me, bro. You can do this too. I did it. You can do it. I promise you, I was the worst PMO in the whole fucking world. Close to. I was a serious degenerate with this shit. Look at me now.
That balance has lost.
I'm not being cocky. I'm just showing you what you could become. I'm not saying become like me. I'm saying you could become abstinent from PMO and be totally happy about it. I promise you that. I promise you.
Its resilience and its ability to restore homeostasis.
It's almost like the hinge on that balance is messed up.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the hinge on your brain is messed up, and that can just cause relapse. Fuck you! Ah! Do you know how many views this fucking pod? 1.6 million. 1.6 million innocent souls are listening to this shit. I'm getting worse. I've got 200 subscribers. I'm trying my best to fucking help people, and these idiots are fucking making this happen. Oh, I'm losing my mind. Honestly, when I was listening to this, I was losing my mind. I'm still losing my mind now. Let's just keep trudging through this shit.
And so, I mean, for someone who's never experienced addiction like yourself, maybe one way to conceptualize it is.
Well, I didn't say that.
Oh, okay.
No, I was not. To be clear, I was not referring to myself, but I in this example I was given, if I were, I would come clean. I would reveal that. But I think that especially after hearing some of your lectures and descriptions of the range of things that are addictive, yeah. I think.
Oh yeah, so many things are addictive. There are so many addictive What about vomiting? What about bulimic people get addicted to vomiting? Is vomiting addictive? What if I vomit after a night out? Am I at risk of getting fucking vomit addiction? No, because it's not about the thing. It's not about the substance. It's not about the behavior. It's about your relationship to it. It's about your beliefs to it. Some people fucking hate reading. How? If I find reading pleasurable, that means there must be pleasure in the reading. Why don't other people see that same pleasure? Because people have different mindsets. People have different beliefs. Some people will read books. Some people read a self-help book. Or some people read a science book that I really like, and they might just not see value in it. They see value in fiction. They get more of a buzz out of that. They like it more because of what they see in it. It's not the substance that's addictive. It's not the behavior that is addictive. Addiction doesn't exist. It's that people see value in different things for different reasons that are personal to them.
I've been fortunate. I don't have a propensity for drugs or alcohol.
Right. Okay.
I'm lucky in that way.
Right.
That
you're not lucky. You just don't see any value in it. The fact that you think it's luck is very telling to how you view substances as addictive. There are no addictive substances. You're not lucky. You just don't value it. And that isn't due to luck. That's due to your own autonomy. That's due to your own thoughts. That's due to how you choose to reason things through and realize, there isn't much value in it. So maybe if I smoked a cigarette or drank a beer, it's not a big deal. I know it's not really going to add much to my life, so I don't go for it over and over again. It's not a risk or any of this shit. Fucking hate this fucking podcast so much.
Frankly, if they remove all the alcohol from the planet, I'll just be relieved because no one will offer it to me anymore.
Right.
So don't send me any alcohol. It won't go to me.
Right.
But I don't have that. I like to think I have the compassion, but I don't have that empathy for, taking a really good situation and what from the outside looks to be throwing it in the trash.
Yeah. So, okay. So that, let me, and this is really, I think, important because
because the person does, you see, that's right. This is extremely important, right? So Andrew Huberman can't see value in it. Because he doesn't share the beliefs. When you watch porn, right? When you go on a heavy PMO binge, you see a lot of value in that PMO in that moment. You might not, afterwards you'll feel terrible, right? Afterwards you'll feel shame and guilt and feel like shit. But before, you see massive value in it. You're like, this will make me feel good. This will do this. This will make me feel de-stressed. This will help relieve my loneliness. This is going to be so fun. PMO, 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 PMO. And then you do it and it's underwhelming and then you fucking come and it's awful, right? You see that from your point of view. People from the outside point of view, can't see that. And that's very telling because you have different mindsets, different beliefs. You don't have different hardwired brain changes. You have different soft-wired beliefs. And beliefs are changeable throughout our lives. There are people who grow up religious and they change to be atheist. There are people who grow up secular and turn into religious people. So your beliefs are totally, totally changeable. So don't worry, don't panic when it comes to all of this heavy PMO stuff. I'm here for you, and I have the correct resources on this channel, and mostly it's just the Freedom Model book that's going to help you out. You don't need to panic. Please put your faith in the Freedom Model book. Go through the process. Really read that shit a fuckload. I'm telling you, this is how it works.
I also had to come to an understanding of this, and I feel that I have in my 20 years of seeing these patients. And of course, addiction is a spectrum disease, right? And so you've got the severe end of things. Imagine that you had an itch somewhere on your body, okay? And it was, we've all had that, like, whatever the source. It was super, super itchy. You can go for if you really focus, you could go for a pretty good amount of time not scratching it. But the moment you stopped focusing on not scratching it, you would scratch it. And maybe you do it while you were asleep, right? And that is what happens to people with severe addiction. That balance is essentially broken. Homeostasis does not get restored despite...
You want it. It's not an itch. An itch is like out of your control. The cravings, the urges are completely generated by you. There's an amazing quote in the Freedom Model. It says, cravings don't happen to you, you actively crave. And you can actively uncrave by changing your beliefs in the substance. I'm repeating this over and over again, but please, there is no such thing as the urge happening to you. If the urge is happening to you, where's it coming from? Oh, it's coming from my dopamine circuits in my brain. Right, but we've just established that dopamine in my channel and in the Freedom Model book, you can see how the desire isn't due to the dopamine; it's due to your beliefs and the value that you see in it. Essentially, the desire is due to beliefs, never due to the dopamine. And when you realize that, and you can realize that firsthand, you don't have to believe it dogmatically. You realize it firsthand because you change your beliefs, and then you experience the desire change firsthand. King.
Sustained abstinence. They're living with that constant specter of that pull. It never goes away.
Yes, it does. It went away from me, you idiot. Fuck you for saying it doesn't. It does go away. It went away for me because I changed my beliefs about it. It went away. My desire, as I said, my desire for almonds will go away if new information comes to me that suggests that the benefits that I think I'm getting from it, I'm not getting from it. I believe that this has good unsaturated fats in it. If it turns out that this almonds doesn't have good unsaturated fats in it, and in fact it has horrible trans fats or saturated fats, that's going to decrease my desire. That's fact, right? We've had this happen to our lives all the time. When I was younger, I wanted to become a doctor. Once I realised what doctors do for a living and how shit it actually is, I decided not to become a doctor. That new information changed my mind. It changed my desire. There is no difference between that kind of desire and the desire for PMO. It changes. When I was younger, I wanted to watch cartoons. I wanted to play computer games all day. I no longer want to do that because I've changed my desires. I changed my desires because I changed my beliefs.
So let me say there are lots of people with addiction for whom that does go away, and it goes away at 4.
Okay, what's the difference then between a true addict then and a non-true addict? You're making these categorizations based on nothing. I'm saying they're the same and I'm right and you're wrong. You're a 25-year psychiatrist, top of the Stanford, and you're wrong. Unbelievable.
4 weeks for many of them. But in severe cases, that's always there and it's lingering. And it's the moment when they're not focusing on not using, it's like a reflex. They fall back into it. It's not purposeful. It's not because they want to get high. It's not because they value.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's because they want to get high. Yeah, it fucking is. Yeah, it is. It is that. And it's hard to believe because you think, okay, I can totally empathize because you think, oh, but I really don't want to do it because it doesn't even feel that good, and the consequences are so awful. It's so confusing why I do it, and I understand. I was there, but trust me, it's due to beliefs. I don't know how to phrase it. I'm gonna make more videos trying to explain this deeper, but what more can I say?
Value using drugs more than they do their family. None of that. It's that really they cannot not do it when given the opportunity.
I've changed my mind. Fuck you. I know. I can't. No, she's a good person. She must be a good person at heart. She's not evil like Adolf Hitler. I need to stop putting the middle finger. That's actually so disrespectful. I'm a good guy. I don't do that shit like that. But you understand my pain. You must understand the amount of fucking turmoil I'm going through. You know how many people are suffering because of this shit? 1.6 million. And look at the comment, I got clean off meth and had a relapse. He wouldn't have, this poor gentleman in the comments would not have had that quote unquote relapse if they weren't subscribed to this type of ideology, and instead they were looking at the freedom model stuff. If they had the same mindset that I do with the freedom model, not believing you're addicted, knowing that there isn't much value in his substance, which is crystal meth, he wouldn't have had that. And that relapse there probably cost him a shitload of his mental health and energy and money and God knows what else. And do you see what I mean? Do you see how poisonous this is? And you understand why I'm throwing profanities at this poor lady and how I'm struggling to actually be civil here? Because there's just so much pain being caused here. And I deeply care about people. Of course I fucking do. That's why I'm taking time out of my life and I'm really putting my purpose and everything into fucking helping.
And that moment when they're not thinking about it. Does that make sense?
That's a great description. And actually in that description,
Great description. Mr. I feel so horrible. I don't want to call these guys idiots. I'm not going to do it. They're highly misled. Let me put it that way. Highly, highly, highly misled. Beyond totally wrong. Totally, like, okay, imagine right was up and wrong was down. They're 180 degrees apart, yeah? They're so wrong. They're not even a little bit right. Completely fucking wrong. Opposite. Like, the truth is opposite to what they're saying.
I can feel a bit of empathy because the way you describe scratching an itch in your sleep.
Yeah.
I've done that.
It certainly does feel like that when you have a strong desire. I'm not denying it does. Of course it feels like that. But the idea that it's an itch, that it happens to you, that there's no control, that you're sometimes out of control, completely wrong. You're in control the whole time because you're the only one in here. You're the only one doing it.
Now with mosquito bites in summer, you're scratching, and you're like, oh, you wake up scratching.
And you don't have to fight urges. You don't have to be disciplined. You don't have to white knuckle it. It's not about that. It's about eliminating desires. It's not about fighting desires. It's about getting rid of them so you don't even have them. I don't even have them. I don't resist will. I don't use willpower. I don't have discipline. I just don't fancy watching porn. It's about it's completely about your perspective. It's nothing to do with willpower or desire or white knuckling it.
That mosquito bite. And I also have to admit that I've experienced not feeling like I want to pick up my phone because it's so rewarding, but just finding myself doing it.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, that's called habit. So another thing is these things can become habit, and what that habit doesn't mean addiction, it doesn't mean compulsion, it doesn't mean urges. It just means it's something that you start doing a bit more automatically. Now, when a habit is something that you get good at, right? You get good at it. So I can make a cup of tea without even thinking about it. But does that mean that if it turns out I don't want to make the tea, am I still compelled to make the tea? No. If I get in my car, when I get in my car, I couldn't even tell you what I do to start the thing and back out of my drive. I couldn't even tell you what the steps are. But if I got in my car and I suddenly realised I don't want to drive, am I forced to go through that ritual of turning the car and doing everything? No. Because the habit is dependent on the desires, dependent on the values, dependent on the beliefs. It's not like your habit is part of that. Do you understand what I'm saying? They're separate. So you might find yourself picking up your phone randomly, but you only do that habit only happens because you want to pick up your phone, right? The habit isn't in control here. The habit just makes it easier for you to unlock your phone and do everything. But if you don't want to unlock your phone, you won't do it. You don't have to do it. And obviously, that in order to get to that level, in order to get to that stage, you have to undo all your beliefs, and that's a bit of a process, and that can take some work. But once you do that, you will no longer desire. You'll be in the same position that I'm in, where you just don't desire it. And I could PMO 16 times tomorrow, and I promise you, I wouldn't. The next day, I wouldn't do it, and I wouldn't even want to do it. Same thing with alcohol. I've been blackout drunk so many times, and I'm not an alcoholic. Why? Because I just don't fucking see any value in it. So I went on a stag do after I went on a stag do and I drank a shitload, and then I came home and didn't drink for 6 months. How on earth is that? How is that possible? Food for thought. You've been in that position too. Chances are you've been blackout drunk tons of times. Why are you not an alcoholic? Because you just don't fancy it. You don't want it. You don't want to drink loads.
Like, I'm not going to use this thing. I'm not going to use this thing.
Right.
And then just finding myself doing it. Like, what am I doing here?
Right.
Sort of how did I get back here again?
Right.
And I know enough about brain function to understand that we have circuits that generate deliberate behavior, and we have circuits that generate reflexive behavior. And one of the goals of the nervous system is to make the deliberate stuff reflexive, so you don't have to make the decision, because decision making is a very costly thing to do.
Exactly.
Decision making of any kind.
Right.
So that does really help.
The word reflexive is so fucking problematic, because it means that he's comparing reflexive. So a reflex action is like when you touch a hot stove and you fucking hell. The word reflexive is basically making it sound as though you're not in control the whole time. So as I said, is it reflexive when I get in my car and start turning everything on and put the seatbelt on and turn the gear stick and start to drive out? What if I just don't want to do it? I won't do it. It will take zero willpower. What if I found out my keys were indoors? Do I have to go and do the car starting ritual and then try and fight my way to not going inside to get the keys? Like my door key that I forgot? No. I can choose to the habit. Once the habit starts, I can stop it at any moment when it comes to the car. It's the same thing as with PMO, but with PMO, you have to debunk that value that you see in it. This is the absolute key. You have to do that. If you don't do that, you will desire it. And it's not an urge. It's not a reflex.
I want to just try and weave together this this dopamine puzzle, however, because if by first phase of
you know how he calls it a puzzle? Because a puzzle is incomplete, right? A puzzle is something that no one really knows. You have to complete it. It's a puzzle. It's something you have to figure out. These guys haven't figured it out. And fair enough, you can say that, science isn't complete. And neuroscience is certainly in its infancy. But actually, we have solved the problem. You can just... You don't need the neuroscience. You can just use first-hand experience.
This 30 or 40 day...
That's why I'm able to critique these guys without being a neuroscientist. I'm able to critique here because first-hand experience trumps all. If I don't use porn and I don't have any craving, I don't have any desire, and I know that, and I'm confident of that, and I know if I PMO 10 times tomorrow, I won't PMO like ever. I just don't want to. Then it's the same thing with anorexia, right? If I vomit like 5 days in a row, I'm not going to get addicted to vomiting, because I see no value in it. Whereas if an anorexic person does it, they see loads of value in it. They'll keep vomiting and vomiting and vomiting if they believe they're an addict. Do you see? Same thing with, like, do you see? I hope that's a good analogy.
Right. Detox. It's like a dopamine fast.
Right.
Right? Okay.
I can't watch anymore. I honestly can't even tolerate it. I really can't. I really want to get through this, and we're not even... I don't even know if I'm going to complete this. It's making me sick to my stomach.
First 10 days are miserable. Middle 10 days... the clouds are out. There may be some shards of sunlight coming through, and then all of a sudden, sun starts to come out. It gets brighter and brighter.
You have no idea how wrong this is.
Why is it then that people will relapse, not just after getting fired from a job or their spouse leaving them, but when things are going really well?
Yes.
Is it this unconscious mechanism? Because I've seen this before. They have a great win. I have a friend who's a really impressive creative. I don't want to reveal any more than that, but and relapsed upon getting another really terrific opportunity to create for the entire world. And I was like, how can that happen? But now I'm beginning to wonder, was it the dopamine associated with that win that opened the spigot on this dopamine system?
Maybe if you have too little dopamine, your propensity for relapse. And maybe if you have too much dopamine, then it can relapse.
fuck you. I'm sorry. No, these are good people, but fuck that idea. Let me attack the idea. Fuck that idea. Now I feel better about myself.
Because it happened in a phase of a really great stretch of life.
Yeah, right. Yes.
Yeah, I hate this woman. I know I don't. I hate the idea. I can't. Oh, fucking hell. But she's so smug about it. She thinks she's the top G. She thinks that she knows everything. How can you know everything when you don't, like, you haven't solved the problem? I've solved the problem. And I haven't done it. This is not me. This is the freedom model guys who've solved it. I was in need and I followed their advice and it solved it for me. These people are, like, they haven't solved the problem. They don't even know how to solve the problem.
So you raise.
They're making guesses and they're making theories and they haven't actually solved it. They're theorizing. I'm actually got my feet, what's it called, boots on the ground? Is that the analogy?
Is that great point about
Not analogy. You know what I mean.
Triggers, right? And triggers are things that make us want to go back to using our drug. And the key thing about triggers, whatever they are, is they also release a little bit of dopamine, right?
I can't watch this. I'm just going to skip through. I fucking hate everything that they're talking about.
So just thinking about whatever the trigger is that
I feel physically ill. I'm not even joking.
we associate with drug use, or just thinking about drug use, can already release this anticipatory dopamine, this little mini spike. But here's the part that I think is really fascinating. That
There will be people making notes on this stuff. There will be people making notes and really trying to absorb the information here. Fucking hell, those people are fucked. They're going to be jacking off 20 times a day to fucking shemale porn.
mini spike is followed by a mini deficit state. So it goes up and then it doesn't go back down to baseline. It goes below baseline tonic levels. And that's craving, right? So that anticipation is immediately followed by wanting the drug. And it's that dopamine deficit state that drives.
FYI, you can only desire something if you see value in it. If you don't see any value in it, you won't desire it. That's it.
The motivation.
I'm done here now. I really hate this. I don't know how I tolerated this fucking podcast up until now.
To go and get the drug. So many people talk about dopamine is not really about pleasure, but about wanting and about motivation. And so it is that deficit state that then drives the locomotion to get it.
And earlier, your description of dopamine being involved in the desire for more, giving the sense of reward, but also movement.
Right.
I have to assume that those things are braided together in our nervous system for the specific intention of when you feel something good, then you feel the pain.
Yes.
Maybe you don't notice it. And then the next thing you know, you're pursuing more of the thing. That
and I love the way you use the word braided together. That's beautiful. And let me also just say something that I find also fascinating in my work with patients. And I see this all the time.
This lady works with patients. This lady works with people who are in need. And she's spreading the most toxic shit you can ever fucking see. This lady, people are paying this lady. How sad. It's making me really, really upset because I really care about humanity and I care about people. And to see that people are taking on these beliefs, man, when I took on these beliefs, I was trapped and I wanted to fucking ice myself. I swear to God.
There are people for whom bad life experiences, loss, I
wanted to fucking kill myself. At times.
Form, stress in many different forms, that's a trigger. But there are absolutely people for whom the trigger is things going well. And the things go.
Oh, okay. For some people, it's the trigger's going well, and some people it's going bad. It's not a trigger. It's a connect. Ugh, I can't even talk about this shit. It's all you. It's not the substance. It's not the environment. It's you.
Going well can be like the reward of the thing is going well, but very often what it is the removal of the hypervigilant state that's required to keep their use in check. So it's this sense of, I want to celebrate, or this reward happened. I want to put more reward on there. And it's really, really fascinating because when people come to that realization about themselves, that they're most vulnerable when things are going well.
God, I don't like this at all. Vulnerable to what? Vulnerable to what? Addiction. You've created addiction. This idea is creating it. You're creating it. You're making it.
That's really a valuable insight because then they can put some, things in place or barriers in place.
If you don't understand what I mean by that, What I'm saying is that if you take on this, as I said earlier, if you take on this belief, you're going to be highly motivated towards it. Because if you believe, I need to do this, I'm going to crave if I don't do it, if I'm going to have urges if I don't do it, I need it, I need it, I need it, it's going to make me happy, it's going to do all of this, and I can't, I have to resist. If you believe that whole thing, that's a great reason to use it. And that's why you use it. That belief is why you use it, not because of the thing the belief is describing, because of the belief itself.
Place or go to more meetings or whatever.
That's a good way that I described it. It's the belief itself. Always, 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 always. I know that because as soon as I deleted the beliefs, my desire went like magic. Would you believe?
It is that they do, to protect themselves.
Along those lines, I have a friend, 40 years sober.
I can't even watch the rest of this little bit. I just wanted to get to the end of here and I can't even do it. That's it. If you really want to know how to fucking quit PMO easily, read the Freedom Model all the way book. It's all the way through. It's a book about drugs and alcohol addiction, how to free yourself from that, but it works for PMO fantastically. I can attest to that, and I've made this channel to talk about that and spread the word. I only have 200 subs, 220 I think, and this guy's got 4 million, and this video has 1.6 million, and all these people are suffering in the comments, and I feel like, oh fucking hell, this is an uphill battle. But please, let's just get this shit going. Let's get this movement going. Read the Freedom Model and then make a YouTube channel and make videos or something. Help me. Read the book and cure yourself first. That's your first priority. Help yourself, because as soon as you've helped yourself, you're gonna have that first-hand experience of this shit actually working. And then, if you'd like to, you can go about your life. I'm here just to solve your problem. But if you're that way inclined and you want to help people, make a channel and start helping with this Freedom Model stuff. Otherwise, just solve the problem for yourself and do whatever the fuck you want with your life. But good Lord, don't listen to this shit. Actually solve the problem, Let's get to the root of this. And it is the Freedom Model, and that is how you really overcome everything. Anyway, I'm going now. I'm done with this. I need to go and fucking smack my head against the wall just to fucking return my sanity. That's it. Like and subscribe. I've never said that before. Like and sub to me. And because this is really going to help you.